Hi viewers, today we are going to see Salesforce Business Analyst Certification Preparation Part 16. Requirement uh, In this requirement, we are going to see for engaging stakeholders to identify, validate, and prioritize the requirement. Business and technical requirements are the starting point for all development operations. They must be efficiently managed to ensure streamlined planning and delivery of the expected outcomes. Agile teams can use Kanban or Scrum frameworks to plan the project, perform the necessary task, and deliver the agreed project outputs. Kanban help categorize work items into project stages, create transparency, and foster communication between team members. Scrum has defined team roles, events, and process that streamline project management and procedure valuable increment during each iteration. Kanban board visualize the stage an item of work goes through from start to completion. Kanban cards represent work items that need to be completed by team members. Work in progress limit restrict the maximum number of work items that can be placed in workflow stage. Lead items is the average time that it takes for a Kanban card to flow through the workflow from the start to completion. Throughout the representation, the total amount of work items completed by the team in a single period of time. In Scrum, the product backlog is a list of work items that may be needed to complete the project deliverables. Sprint backlog consists of the sprint goals, a set of product backlog items, and a plan for how to deliver work items during the sprint. Scrum team collaborates on the project and consists of a scrum master, product owners, and developers. Scrum events are 5 mandatory meetings during the project and include the sprint planning, daily scrum, sprint review, and sprint retrospective. Scrum values guided the Scrum team to successfully deliver the project objective. Scrum values included courage, focus, commitment, respect, and opinions. Sprint or time boxed period during which the team work towards a sprint goal. Requirement gathering, the process of gathering all business, technical, user, and regulatory project requirements. Defining project requirements, requirement gathering, list all requirements needed to accomplish project deliverables. The process include identifying project stakeholders to collect the objectives, concern, and suggestion for the final deliverables. Listing and mapping all gathered information and getting approval for the project scope. Benefits of requirement gathering. Requirement gathering improves stakeholders' collaborations and unifies everyone understanding of the project goal. The project is more likely to succeed and be delivered more quickly as all needed work items are prepared upfront. Kanban visualize all work items teams complete during the project to create a transparency and foster communication between team members. Kanban boards categorize the stage an item of work goes through from start to completion. Basic Kanban boards consist of at least 3 steps or flows, including the to-do, in progress, and done stage. The complexity of the project to specify of final deliverables and team size may require the additional of more steps and address complexity. Kanban cards represent work items that need to be done by team members. Each work item is written on a separate Kanban card and is placed into the appropriate stage of the project workflow. Kanban cards can contain work items, titles, descriptions, owners, due dates, and more, and must be completed in the responsible time. Workflow in progress limits. Work in progress limit control the number of work items that can be added to each stage of the workflow, limiting current task. Uh, restrict the maximum number of work items that can be placed in each of the workflow stage. Work, work in progress limit ensure that team members complete one task before moving on the next one. It limits uncover inefficiency and bottlenecks in the workflow process by releasing team members' capacity once they complete their current work items. Lead time and throughput. Kanban uses measurement system to track team performance. Lead time. Lead time measures the average time that it takes for Kanban card to flow through the entire workflow from the moment the work on the card started to when it was completed. Through uh, Throughput represent the total number of work items completed by the team in a single period of time. Tasks marked as work in progress do not count towards the delivered items. Benefits of Kanban. Kanban create project transparency and categorize project stage and visualize how work items flow through them. Flexibility. New requirement do not affect the current work team members are completing. They can be prioritized by the product owner and worked upon as soon as the team capacity is released. Limiting team overwork. Kanban release on a pull system where team members work on task only if they have the capacity. Introducing work in progress limit ensure that new tasks cannot be added to the given workflow stage if it's already contained too many work items. Transparency. Visualization of work items on the Kanban board creates transparency over tasks that must be completed and visibility for their stage in the project workflow. Too many cards placed in a given stage draw attention to existing project issue. Efficiency. Kanban metrics allow teams members to notice and address bottlenecks as soon as they occur in the workflow process. Bottlenecks may signal the lack of resource available to handle the assigned amount of work. New requests in Kanban workflow. Kanban teams can accommodate new requests and requirement modification. Uh, Reprioritizing backlog. When a new requirement is required by a project stakeholders, a product owner can reprioritize backlog to push the new request to the top. If the workflow is negatively impacted by the addition of a new work item, one of the existing tasks might need to be moved from work in progress back to the to-do stage or the project backlog as soon as a team member capacity is released, they can start working on a newly added requirement. Scrum is agile framework with defined team roles, events, and process that produce values, increments, and improves the overall delivery process. Product backlog is a list of work items that may be needed to complete the project. Tasks added to product backlog are prioritized by product owner and refined by the team to be selected in the upcoming sprint. Sprint backlog consists of a sprint goal, a set of selected product backlog items that are to be completed by the end of the sprint, and a plan for how work items must be delivered by developers during sprint. Scrum team is a non-hierarchical unit of professional collaborating on a project. Scrum team are cross-functional and self-managing and include Scrum Master, product owners, and developers. Sprint or fixed length period of time during which the team works towards the sprint goal. Development work after a sprint planning meeting. Developers start developers start working on the work items included in sprint backlog during time boxed iteration to turn selected backlog items into production increments. Developers collaborate with the product owners and scrum master to clarify backlog items and remove work impediment. No changes endangering the sprint goal. It is not recommended to accept new requirement to the sprint backlog during the sprint as it could compromise the team's ability to achieve sprint goal. If sprint goal becomes irrelevant to the project, the product owner has the sole authority of cancel the current sprint. Scrum values. A successfully delivered the objectives of Scrum project teams must adhere to 5 Scrum values. Courage. Team members are transparent about encountered difficulties and have the courage to decide on the best course of action. Focus. Team members complete the task planned in the sprint and remain focused on key priorities. Commitment. Team members commit to achieving project goals and support each others in the process. Respect. Every team member is recognized as an independent and capable individual whose perspective count. Opinions. Team members openly discuss and challenge their faiths during project work. Benefits of Scrum. Scrum empowers teams to efficiently accomplish project deliverables and continuously improve the delivery process. Manageable sprint. Large projects are delivered into manageable sprint of a specified length following a predefined structure of meeting and process happening throughout. Realistic sprint goal. Teams are guided by their previous experience to reduce waste, observe the process, and learn to set up realistic goals for each future sprint. Team collaboration. Through participation in Scrum meeting, teams collaborate on project goals and task prioritization. Team members support each other through challenges. Adaptability. Team inspect sprint progress and apply new learning to improve the quality and efficiency of their work process for the future. New requests in Scrum work. Scrum teams are discouraged from taking a new request during the duration of a sprint. Mid-sprint interpretations not encouraged. During the sprint planning meeting, the team commit to completed a specified number of tasks added to the sprint backlog. Interpretation and new requests disturb the sprint and may lead to work overload. Adding new requests to the current sprint is not recommended. Product owners can add new requirement to the top of the product backlog and if needed, included them in the next sprint. Comparison between Kanban and Scrum. Kanban and Scrum offer different approaches to managing project requirement. Scrum, timeline items are completed during time-boxed sprint of a fixed length, for example, 2 or 3 weeks long. Team roles, product owners, Scrum master, developers, meeting participant, events are obligatory and include sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, and retrospective. Backlog ordered. Product backlog is reordered by the product owner to prioritize the most important task during the next sprint planning meeting. Kanban, timeline items are completed continuously without specified time restriction. Team roles. Kanban does not have defined team roles. Meeting practice. Meetings such as daily stand-up are recommended to align the team but are optional. Backlog order. Product backlog can be continuously reordered by the product owner. Comparison between Kanban and Scrum. Kanban and Scrum offer different approaches to managing project requirement. Scrum, start of work. At the beginning of the new sprint, team members start working on the backlog items assigned to them during the sprint planning meeting. New requirements management. Introducing new requirement during the sprint is discouraged interpretations and new requests disturb the sprint process and may lead to work overload. Kanban start of work. Team members start working on tasks as soon as they have the capacity. New requirements management. New requirement can be reprioritized by the product owner and added to the top of the backlog. Team members begin work on team as soon as they have the capacity. Existing work items can be moved to backlog, um, blocked, returned to the to-do stage, or removed from the board. We can see some scenario. Cosmic Innovation would like to implement an agile framework for the project management of its upcoming new futures development. Which framework would they choose if they know upfront the team will be faced with lots of unplanned requests introducing at any time during the project? The solution is Cosmic Innovation should select Kanban as their agile framework for project management. In Kanban, new requests can be placed at the top of the backlog and worked upon as soon as the team capacity is released. We can see the next scenario. A team at Cosmic Enterprise work within the Scrum framework to manage its ongoing project. During the sprint, one of the project stakeholders contact one of the developers working on the project and ask her to complete an additional request as soon as possible. How should the developer manage this situation? The solution is mid-sprint interpretations are discouraged in Scrum as they may negatively impact the scope of the sprint. The developers should discuss the new requirement with the product owner. If the requirement can be prioritized in the product backlog, then the product owner adds it to the top of the backlog to be selected during the next sprint planning. Stakeholder engagement plan. A stakeholder engagement plan is a documented strategy that outlines how an organize or project team intend to engage and communicate with the stakeholders throughout the project lifecycle. Input, tools and techniques, output. Stakeholder analysis, information about the identified stakeholders, their interest, needs, expectation, and potential impact on the project. Expert judgment, involving subject matter expert and experienced individuals to provide insight and guidance on stakeholders engagement strategies. Stakeholders engagement plan. The stakeholders engagement plan itself is the primary output of its process. It details the communication and engagement approach, specifying the frequency, format, and content of interaction within stakeholders. Stakeholders engagement plan. Input, tools, and techniques, output. Project characters. The project characters provide the project a high level overview, objectives, and the initial scope, which are crucial for understanding the context of stakeholders engagement. Project management plan. The comprehensive document include various subsidiary plans such as the communication plan, risk management plan, and change management plan, which influence how stakeholders will be engaged. Communication methods. Selecting appropriate communication methods to interact with the stakeholders effectively. This can include meeting, email, survey, workshop, and more. Interpersonal skill, utilizing effective interpersonal skills such as active listening, empathy, and negotiation to engage with the stakeholders and build positive relationship. Change request. The stakeholders engagement process may identify the need for change to the project or its management approach, leading to change request. Update to project document. The stakeholders engagement plan may necessitate update to various project documents such as the project management plan, communication plan, or risk management plan. These are all some links for resource. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe my channel. Thank you.